Games My Mom Found. We are coming at you today at March 31st, 2019. And before we get started, I just want to get guys to get a chance, please take a listen to another podcast called This Week in Video Games, found on Anchor, a podcast all about the world of video games, from news, reviews, interviews, charts, and more. And I am Mike Albertin. Who's with me tonight?
Hello, I'm DJ Copland.
Hello, I'm Stuart Hughes.
Hey, guys. And Stuart, would you want to take it away and let us know what wasteland of a game we played this week?
Sure.
Okay, hold on. Which of you two's fault is this,
This
by
is
the
my
way?
fault.
Just so I had it straight.
And expect more vehicle-type games coming up, too.
All right.
So the first game I went with for my picks were Lost Planet Extreme Condition by Capcom from 2006.
Oh, man, that good vintage... vintage third-person... Oh, God.
It's funny because this game didn't review particularly well. It had a lot of sevens, high sixes, mid sevens,
Yeah,
a couple
that feels
eights.
about accurate to me.
Couple eights, and I 100% agree with those scores. You know, it's not the best game ever. It certainly, a lot of people had trouble with the kind of weird control scheme where it's like an arcade shooter where the bumpers on your controller turn you 90 degrees left and right rather than doing anything else.
They're terrible.
Yeah, it feels like an arcade game that was put onto a console.
Yeah, I think that's about the impression I had of it last week, and it has not changed at all.
Yeah, it's an odd little game.
It is very weird because this is the era when games started getting more quote-unquote cinematic.
Yeah.
And this, at first glance, kind of seems like it's going the same way, but then you actually start playing it, and it's literally an arcade game.
Yeah, it's an arcade game.
Yeah.
It's a little arcade game that's basically like Starship Troopers meets the planet Hoth, and it's I just think it's a fun little game.
It's like Starship Troopers Evangelion.
Yeah.
Like
Starship Troopers Evangelion.
That's basically what it is.
And I played this game back, not in 06, I played it in probably 09 when I first got my 360 because it was cheap then. It was like $10 or less, had to have been at that time. And I remembered nothing other than, I remember it was cold out in this game. That's about all I remember.
Well, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I think I played this game when it came out, and I remember thinking oh man, I remember all my friends talking about just going oh, I can't get over the control scheme, it's so weird. And I went into it and I was like, yeah, this doesn't seem like that big of a problem. No, it's just it just clicked for it's an arcade game. It's like something you'd go play at a movie theater.
It didn't bother me. The controls weren't my problem with the game. I didn't use the grappling hook that often, even though only when I had to, but for the most part,
I grappled everywhere.
The game isn't really designed around it that much.
I love the grappling hook. I want more games to have a grappling hook.
Look, man, Sekiro just came out. That one's all about the grappling hook. People like grappling hooks. It made the game marginally better for me, but I don't feel like it was used as much as it could have been.
It's not useful anywhere. So let's mention basically I'm not going to mention the plot in the description because I don't have 10 hours, but
what plot?
The setting is
it's just listen, guys, have you watched an anime?
Yeah.
Have you watched an action movie? Just mash those two together, and
it's Gundam. It's a Gundam game, basically.
Amnesia, check. Big bugs, check. It's girl, check.
Gundam and Starship Troopers smashed together in the best way, I think. And it's basically the layout of the game. I'm sure people have seen the cover at least once of Wayne standing in this frozen barren wasteland, nothing but ice, and the bugs coming after him in the background. And it's just this very isolated, empty world covered in snow. And so there's a grappling hook, doesn't really work on those levels, but then you have a lot of mix of urban environments and kind of cities that have fallen into the snow. It's got this wasteland aspect to it. This
game is a lot the gameplay is a lot of made around for the multiplayer, which none of us played because it's 2019.
Not this time around. No, not very many people keeping the Lost Planet Extreme Condition multiplayer alive.
No.
Although I will say I played I haven't played the third one yet. I did play the second one not too long ago. I played both of them back to back. And the second one did have some people online for multiplayer still, which was surprising. The second one is basically just a co-op campaign shooter.
Yeah.
There's multiplayer in there, but everything about the second game is built around this multiplayer aspect. Whereas this one's very much a single player game.
And this one could have benefited from a co-op campaign. It felt like it could have used it many times.
Yeah, they went too far in the other direction for the second one, I think, where it was all co-op with Like the second was almost like a Telltale game or something. Like it was these very isolated stories.
I wouldn't mind playing it someday.
One long intricate
and then the third one went in almost sort of an action RPG sort of direction, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it came all the way back to it's going to be a story-based game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's also really weird because like they're all very loosely connected. Like I think the second game takes place 60 years after the first one, and then the third game is a prequel that takes place like 80 years before this one. So you might catch some names, and there's a couple characters that like are loosely related, but there's not a lot of like continuity between the games.
Like even in this game with the story, I mean, throughout the story, it bounces around all over the place. Like you had years pass by between a mission. I feel like it was a year for a couple of missions, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, one mission actually ends with going like 1 year later, and you're like, what? Really?
What?
Okay.
This is mission 7. What?
We're doing this 1 year later.
Okay.
I mean, it's like 30 years from the prologue to when they find him.
The game starts
by the way, you don't
find
skip. Out about until two-thirds through the game when another character just sort of like tosses it out really quickly, and the protagonist is like, why am I just now hearing about that? And I was like, why just now?
It's a great moment where you can tell he's like, wait, how long have I been alive? How long am I supposed to be alive?
He's like, I've been frozen for 30 years? Well, I don't know why when Snake.
Yeah, and I was the same way. I was like, okay, all right, you got me, game. I wasn't expecting that.
This was a strange game. Like when we first started playing it, and we played through the first mission. That's why I made that message. I'm like, you're an asshole, Stuart, for making us play this. Because I did not like it at first. I was like, this sucks. And then I started getting the hang of it, and I enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah, it's a game that kind of grows on you.
The same experience. Let me tell you that this game does sort of share some of the same traits as its contemporaries like Gears of War and all that, the ones that were going in a more cinematic direction, because this game loves smoke effects.
Oh my god.
It loves camera shake. It loves motion blur. It just loves all of those things.
I mean, even the grenades going off have this massive amount of smoke and debris coming out of them. It's
God, and you just said like you just can't tell what's going on half the time. Like there are some rooms in some of the missions where there's literally just like dozens of enemies, and then there's just like gunshots and motion blur and smoke effects and camera shake all happening at the same time. And it's like I died a few times just because I was so disoriented I couldn't tell what was going on.
You can get swarmed very easily.
Yeah. In fact, I had to go back and restart this game on easy mode just so I could get through it. Because there was...
It's a hard game. There's some very hard missions.
Yeah.
The fact that the missions, like we had mentioned yet, is that it doesn't save during the mission. I mean, there's checkpoints, but you can't turn off the game between a mission. So if you're getting stuck in a part, you need to finish that mission if you want to keep playing. Or save your progress. That
annoyed me a lot because it meant that I couldn't just pop in and out. I had to like set aside huge chunks of time for this game.
I was while I was doing the Green Eye fight, we lost power very briefly, and I lost all progress on that mission. I had to start over.
That's a long mission too.
Yeah, our power flickered on and off, and I was like, "Oh God, I got to start this from the very beginning."
Oh man,
I was literally fighting Green Eye and not going to finish this mission tonight.
I really liked that fight with Green Eye. I mean, I died a couple of times to him before I got the hang of it. I beat him with a sliver of health. I didn't get a picture of it, but I was one hit away from death before I finally killed his ass.
I like the Acrid fight. I like any Acrid in this game in general, I think.
Yeah,
this game has a really...
The Acrid are really funny to me. So for those who are unacquainted, the Acrid are one of the three main sort of enemy factions in this game. And they are, when we said this is like Starship Troopers, this is what we're talking about. They're giant space bugs.
Yeah, they are your local fauna, that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Carnivorous and coming to kill you.
And every single one of the Acrid, and this was actually kind of hilarious to me, every single one of them has like a classic video game weak spot, like a giant glowing orange spot somewhere on their bodies,
which is explained in the game.
Oh yeah, because it's where they that's the other mechanic in this game is the thermal energy.
Yeah, it was dropped for the other two games, I should say. They did not continue that.
Well, makes sense.
I'm glad.
Yeah, basically thermal energy is like it's the quote unquote the resource of the planet. It's like orange goo. It might as well be natural gas or something.
So it's basically it's icy hot.
Yeah, it's
And,
icy hot, and
so
everything survives.
these bugs have icy hot in them,
Yeah.
and because it's an Arctic planet, it's really cold all the time. You need to absorb icy hot into your magic robot arm so that you can like keep your body heat up and survive. Which basically how it works is you have like a number that represents your amount of thermal energy that you have.
It's how much time you have left before you run out of energy.
And your health automatically refills from that pool of energy. So once you run out of energy, you can no longer replenish your health. And then once you run out of health, you're dead.
It is essentially a time limit on every mission.
Yeah. And doing certain actions, like using certain attacks in battle, will drain it faster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
getting hit and just having to like replenish your health, it uses a shitload of it.
Piloting a mech can use a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So that's actually the best. My favorite part of this game is the mechs. The
mechs are great. The vital suits.
Yeses. I really wish this was just a mech game.
Yeah.
I would have liked it so much better if this were just a mech game.
Like, it's so much fun.
The second game adds a lot more like.
Mechs, okay, the first couple of mechs you get suck. Let's not mince words here.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, they're awful. I mean, there's one that like they're cool in concept, but in gameplay they're not great. Like one transforms into like a motorbike that can only go forward.
Yeah, you can't turn in place on, which is not great.
I didn't use that thing.
It sucked. It's so frail.
I use it just to get across the bridge, but once I get off, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna take off. And
by the way, that bridge is like it's over a pit that you can just walk on foot. Like it's not a bottomless pit or a pit of lava or anything like that.
No,
like
you
can just like, drop down into the pit, walk across the floor, and then grapple hook back up to the other side if you wanted to. You don't need the motorbike. So there's that one, and then there's like the starter one that just sucks, that can't do anything.
It's all like rusted.
Like the old ass one that literally has no special abilities except.
Just the two guns you got.
I think the GTF 11 is what that one's called. Yeah, it's not great. One of my favorite things about the game though is that was the Nita, the GTT-01 Nita. Yeah, it doesn't even have like armor.
Who cares what its make and model?
Because it's great. I'm also looking at the list of mechs so I can get the names right. But it doesn't even have armor plating on the front.
Dude, nobody cares if you get the names right.
It doesn't even have armor plating on the front. You're just like in an open cockpit.
Yeah. You get other ones later on. Like there's this really cool one that is all about jumping that has like a double jump. And then if you press a different button, it does like a super high jump. That one was really cool. There was also the one that's basically a drilling machine.
Yeah, that one's awesome.
That one is so good.
Yeah, you can transform it from like a drilling tank into a full-scale mech.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to do that.
Four-legged mech. And it has its own built-in weapons.
Yeah.
It has this awesome like.
That's like actually the downside to it, I think, is you can't take off the weapons of it. So all the other mechs in the game, you can remove the weapons from the mech and kind of like customize what you want to be holding on to.
Nice.
I did like that, except this happened to me so many times where I was trying to get into a mech and I was standing off to the side. And so instead of getting in, I took the weapon off.
Oh, yeah.
And there were more than a few times when I did that accidentally during a boss battle and died.
Yeah, it's easy to panic, especially when you're fighting. At some point, you have to fight this pirate group, the Crimson Unity Pirates. And it's like it just throws you into an arena with like 3 enemy mechs that are all armed with rocket launchers, and they just immediately start coming after you. And you got the 3 mechs, but you also have dozens of enemy troops on foot coming after you. Like it gets hectic fast.
And then you get up to your mech and you pull the gun off, and you're like, fuck.
And my favorite part of that fight is I always do the same thing where I walk right and try to get into I see a mech from behind and I get into it thinking I think the hardballer is the awesome one that can like skate around and it has like the full suit. That one's great. That's the one from the very beginning of the game.
That's the one your dad designed.
Yeah. You get into that. You think you're getting into that, and then you get into it and you realize it's the shitty one from behind. They look the same. God, I can only move
what are you talking
forward.
about? Well, the mechs the mechs helped make this game. Wasn't for the mechs, it would be.
Oh yeah, if not for the mechs, this game would be utterly unremarkable.
It's a standard third-person shooter. You run around and shoot things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
the
and the other thing besides the mechs is, like we said before, the grappling hook, which isn't really used that much, and it's kind of disappointing. Like I
used it
really,
a lot.
It should have been way more movement based than it was, and
I'd say.
seemed like it was going to be, but your movement speed is really slow, and like I said, the grappling hook isn't used for a whole lot, like in combat. Like there's this area early on in the game where you're in a warehouse and there are points where you can grapple up to, and then there are like girders hanging on wires from the ceiling. And if you shoot your grappling hook at them, they'll fall down onto the guys below, which is cool. But that sort of thing does not happen again in the game, like ever.
Yeah, I used it a lot in like anytime there was like urban environments. I used the grappling hook all the time to get from place to place. You
use it for traversal a fair bit.
I used it in combat. I used it to get behind stuff, so like the enemies with the rocket launchers couldn't lock onto me.
Can't you grab them? Can you grab enemies? Or I didn't try.
You can it knocks them over.
All right. I think the game could have done a better job like getting across how to use it then, because like
the whole first missions have you they have you grapple. Like the first mission teaches you how to grapple because it's like, oh, there's this hole you have to get into. Oh, you have a grappling hook, Wayne. Like it tells you directly.
Yeah, it does. But like,
it could have like with the giant enemy weak spots, it could have had like red on the walls or something like Mirror's Edge style.
Yeah, there could have been there could have been things where there are ways to do it. Like if you have a giant acrid where its weak point is on the top of its head and you can't reach it from the ground, and then it has like points that you can grapple to, and it makes it very clear like, oh, if you get up to this high point with the grapple and you hang from the ceiling, then you can shoot its head. Like it doesn't really have anything like that. It doesn't have like enemy or level designs that really encourage you to use it in creative ways. Like it gets almost there but not all the way.
A lot of the levels are either openly big like wasteland or openly big like hallways later on in the game.
Yeah.
Or it's got to be big enough for you to move a mech through. Is really
usually
big.
Yeah. Or put the big acrid around.
Yeah, put the big acrid, which I love. The big acrid fights are my favorite.
Oh, that's the reason why I got mad at you with that first boss fight. I was struggling with that beat with that king when you fight King Dodongo from Zelda. Essentially, I was struggling so hard with that fight.
Okay, well, here's why: is because that fight has a lot of the game's problems.
Yeah, it's funny that you call him Dodongo because I think the name of that enemy is Godon, and he's the boss type of the enemy called Dongos. They're actually called Dongos.
I didn't know that.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, there's like in that. Oh man, that fucking boss. So much smoke, so much screen shake. Just like when I was playing this on my PS3, the frame rate just dropped to like 20 during that fight. Yeah. It was awful.
That might be a PlayStation issue.
I didn't have a problem with frame rate on mine.
Whenever I play this on my, this is going to turn into a console war now. Whenever I played it on my Xbox, it didn't have any problems. And I played it on my PC for this time, and it had no problems. But...
No, what happened was I switched to the PC version.
That's really odd that it had so many issues on PlayStation.
Yeah, man. It was not great. Even when it was like a stable frame rate, it felt like slightly juddery at times. Like, there were moments where it's like, okay, this feels like almost 60, but not quite 60.
Huh, that's odd. Yeah. I played this game at beautiful 60 frames per second, and it felt cinematic as hell.
Well, well, so did I, and I played it on PC, so I was able to turn off motion blur, which
that's also
made it so much more playable.
I like the motion blur. I like the total hectic madness of fighting a giant acrid and feeling like you're actually running from a giant fucking acrid.
Honestly, the big bug fights were my favorite fights. What I liked less was fighting like a dozen regular guys and just being shot at from like 6 different directions. That's not
fun. There's a few parts throughout this game where you just get overwhelmed by guys with rocket launchers, and I remember having to hide a lot and like hunt them down.
Yeah, well, it turns into the thing where it's like you spent the first half of the game is very acrid based. You're fighting swarms of these acrids, and when I say swarms, I mean 20, 30, 40 acres at a time. They're all flying around in the sky.
Well, this is the beginning of Generation 7. So all of a sudden there's all this extra processing power. And they're like, let's just put 1 million enemies on screen.
It's like that scene at the end of the Matrix movies where the guy's shooting into the like pile of whatever the squid robots flying around. That's how I feel playing this game.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Just
you have those
screaming
early
and
on.
gunning into the
You
air.
have like the small spider-looking things that come out of the orange holes in the ground,
which are
And you
super gross.
have you have the little flying stingray-looking thingies that you fight that don't do anything. I mean, they fly at you, but
yeah,
really...
those exist to be a source of thermal energy.
Yeah,
essentially, they're there so you can take out the.
And they also exist to knock you into lava.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. That's one of those things where, yeah, like one of those, not a problem. 20 of those, not a problem. As soon as they get into like a swarm of 50, then they're an issue. Suddenly, they're very bad. I mean, there's a room later in the game where you open it up with that you have the drilling mech, and you open a room and there's two. I'm guessing this is where you got knocked into lava because there's a bridge across lava.
There's this narrow bridge that your tank can just barely fit on.
Yeah, and then like hundreds of fucking stingrays flying through the air.
I love that room.
I love that room because it's just like you open the door and you just see wings flying by the door and you're like, well, this is going to be a problem. Just start shooting into the door before I even walk in the room. Like
the weapons in this game, I really enjoyed that machine. I use that machine gun all the time. Machine gun's
great. It's like Halo 2 era or Halo 1 era.
Dude, there's no reason. There are basically two weapons to use in this game. You use the machine gun and you use the rocket launcher when there's something that's really big.
You didn't use the laser?
Or really far away.
Laser's good too.
I use the laser.
The regular human-sized laser, I didn't find as useful. The mech laser, I fucking loved.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I think the right bosses, it knocks them all bad.
And the lasers have no ammo count.
They have no ammo. Yeah,
nice.
But that was never a huge issue for me. You find ammo basically everywhere.
Yeah, ammo's not too hard. The problem with the ammo is I like using the shotgun a lot, and the shotgun can really burn through ammo quite fast. It's probably the only gun that you can really run out of ammo very quickly.
I didn't use it much in this game. I tried to stay away from it.
Oh, I love the shotguns because they're great for like any of the big acreates because they all kind of have two moves. Mainly like the big I always call them like lobster monsters. I don't know what I think they're called like chrysalises or something, but they look like those camel spiders that exist in like the Middle East that are just, straight from hell. And they can like sweep down at you or sweep across the floor, and you can jump over their floor sweep, and they like do a full spin like a video game villain would, and you hit them right in the back with a shotgun. Oh, it takes them out so quick.
I don't know. I think I like the shotgun on the mech. I would use that a lot in mech fights.
Yeah.
That is crazy powerful.
Yeah.
I think it tear things apart.
That's another thing I love about this game is all the mech weapons feel really strong. Like you feel like you're hitting an enemy.
Yeah.
If you hit something with a shotgun, it's gonna like it takes a good 3 steps back and like has to recalibrate. I like the homing lasers. The homing lasers were awesome.
I didn't use them.
Oh yeah, the homing lasers.
Very little.
Oh, I always did. The right cannon was the laser rifle, and the left was the homing laser. The homing laser, you hold it down, and you can fire 4 laser shots off from anywhere, pretty much. Oh man, that thing's great.
I only used it a few times. I don't know why. I maybe don't get it that often, or I only remember using it near the end, like once or twice, and I stuck with.
For me, I basically held on to the machine gun the entire time.
I did a lot of shotgun and sniper rifle for on-ground combat. And then...
I did not like that rifle.
Oh, dude, the rifle sucks.
I don't like sniper rifles. Like, if we play Halo someday...
The rifle's awful.
You'll never see me grab a sniper rifle in any shooters. I stay away from them. I do not like them.
If we go into Halo 2, I still have where the sniper spawns in the maps. I still have that memorized. That's the first place I go. Yeah, the sniper rifles are great because it's a headshot to kill any human enemy. And so, like, I enter a map and I have the rifle. And I'm like, well, I'm not moving for 20 minutes. Let's just clear it out.
At least one thing nice, the enemies don't respawn except for, like, when they have, like, a spawning portal. They don't keep coming. Like, you can kill everybody and move on.
Yeah, the world really, I think with Lost Planet, the world really feels like it's alive. Like,
does it?
I think so. I think the acreage especially. But it feels like it's a group of men at a base. Like it feels like it's a group of soldiers that are protecting this base. You're not going to shoot one and then 100 more come out of a door. Like
I guess
it felt like Minnesota about 3 months ago is what it felt like.
Yeah,
that's true.
No, here's basically it's bizarre because this whole setting, it's supposed to take place on like another planet that was colonized, and then the colony collapsed, and now you're trying to recolonize it. But literally, like that
please, it's Eden 3, okay? It's the third Eden.
Hold on. That sort of setting is usually you only see that sort of setting in like a low-budget live-action sci-fi movie that's trying to justify the fact that they're literally just shooting in Minneapolis. Like this setting is literally just Russia in winter.
Like, it does have a very Russian feel to it, too.
It's Russia.
Yeah, all the all these soldiers look like Siberian soldiers. Like, they all look like they might as well have the Red Star on their hat.
The snow pirates have Russian accents. If you listen to their voice, they're Russian accented.
Well, the accents in this game are all over the place.
Oh, God. Don't even get me started.
I think the idea is that it's like a group of people that all came from Earth from all over, and so none of them really have a standard place.
Yeah, except for the couple of words that are said in that Russian accent, which I guess sound okay.
Yeah.
All the accents are terrible.
I mean, one of the main bad guys is named Bandero, and I can't even tell you what he is.
Man, you're like Yuri, who is one of the main supporting cast who disappears about halfway through the game, and the game starts like trying to convince you he's the bad guy, but then it reveals, no, actually he wasn't the bad guy or whatever. And he has just the worst midpoint between an American and British accent. Worst fakey sounding, like half-assed British accent.
Well, if you play the second game, you find out that he's actually a clone, so...
Whatever.
Spoilers. For anybody who cares about...
Who cares?
That's like the trick to Lost Planet in the later games. They're like, everyone's a clone. Everybody is a clone. That's their twist.
Why not?
And then you also have like Luca. Like, you have your little group too. So it's
this plot is already just a giant pile of cliches. Like, it's just a grab bag of like action movie cliches and anime cliches.
If it was a cliche, the hero would have gotten the girl, but he didn't. The girl was just there, and they kind of flirted, for the entire game.
I mean, well, that's getting the girl is an American cliche. The girl just kind of being there and not doing anything is very much an anime cliche.
That's true. She did work in this game, though. Oh my God, Luca kicked ass.
She did stuff in cutscenes.
She was the mechanical genius, basically.
Well, wasn't the mechanical genius that one doofy-looking guy with the stupid haircut?
Yeah, Rick. That was Luca's younger brother. But he gets kidnapped, and so Luca's got to take over.
When the hell did he got kidnapped?
Yeah, he got kidnapped.
Man, where was I when this game was playing?
He got kidnapped, and
that was during one of the time skips.
Cornrow, bleach blonde chick Basil. She saves him. She is an odd character all around too, because she's from like 50 years ago, but it's like she hasn't aged a day. That's when you start realizing that no one's aging, is when Basil shows up and she's like, I knew your father. And you're like, didn't he die like 40 years ago? And she's like, yeah. Like, okay, you look like you're 20.
But see, the robot arm slows down your aging, so
yeah, the harmonizer.
And the harmonizer.
Yeah.
Why are we even
Wayne has, and also everybody else
wasting time talking about the story in this game?
Because it's great.
Just not even worth a single damn. It's just
like a Metal Gear story where it's just like a mess of ideas thrown in.
Well, okay, I'll give you that.
There's so much more love and care put into Metal Gear stories.
Oh yeah,
man.
absolutely. Another little fun fact for you too: the main character Wayne. For so long I was like, this guy looks familiar. This guy looks so familiar. I cannot figure it out. It turns out his face is based off of like arguably the most successful South Korean actor ever, Lee Byung-hun. He was in Red 2 and G.I. Joe: Rise of the Cobra.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I was
okay.
Yeah, he's in a shitload of South Korean movies that I love. He is a great actor, and for so long I was like, I played this game since it came out, and I've been looking at Wayne like, why do I know that face? I know that face. Like, it was like playing like Beyond Two Souls and not knowing that the character quote unquote wasn't based on Ellen Page. Just going like, I know this person. Why do I know this person?
Yeah,
I've seen them before. So I found that out like before we started recording, and I was like, oh my God, of course.
So guys, let's set this aside for a second. It's time to talk about something that's actually really serious. I've been going back over our viewership numbers, just to pull back the curtain a little bit for you listeners. Our fastest growing episode in terms of listens is our Banjo-Kazooie episode. It's the second most listened to.
Well, now it'll be Lost
Planet. It's only second to Silent Hill 2. And Silent Hill 2 was not Silent Hill 1, sorry.
Episode 2.
Second to
Silent Hill 2 will be our best episode.
Yeah. Silent Hill was the second episode we did, and it has only 2 more listens than Banjo-Kazooie. So Banjo-Kazooie is, I would hazard to say, the fastest growing, one of the most popular episodes we have. And I was thinking about, okay, why is this? And then I came to a realization, because at a certain point during our Banjo-Kazooie episode, there is a several minute long tangent in which Stuart and I
was wondering where this was going.
About whether or not the character Clanker is a whale. And so I am forced to come to the conclusion that people really are. Yeah, we talk about video games. That's okay. But what they're really listening for is whale facts.
Whale facts.
We had some last episode too.
So in the effort of giving the people what they want, I am proud to announce the newest segment on Games My Mom Found called Whale Facts My Co-Host Found. Now, today we're going to be learning about...
there is a whale acrid, actually.
Is there?
Yeah, it's in
Planet 2.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Stuart, I'll thank you not to change the subject.
It's a whale facts.
So
whale,
today we're
whale.
going to be learning about the bowhead whale.
Hold on. The name of this segment is now Whale, Whale, Whale. What do we have here?
Okay.
That's funny.
All right. We're gonna have to have a poll, clearly, for the name of our whale segment. We'll come up with a poll this week and put it in the group.
And I watched the entire Overblood Super Replay.
Yeah. And you all can vote on what we're gonna call our new whale facts segment.
Games My Mom Found now partnering with Final Fantasy 11.
Oh, you have no idea how bad I want to talk about that game one day.
We have to now. If we have a whale section, we have to talk about it.
Okay. So, before I was so rudely interrupted, I was getting into the topic of this week's segment, which is the bowhead whale. Now, the bowhead whale is an Arctic whale, which means it's one of the larger species. Those are generally the ones that live up in the Arctic. And it also does not have a dorsal fin. It is also a baleen whale, which is one of the whales that are filter feeders. They use baleen, which are these big bony combs instead of teeth, and they use them to filter out krill and plankton and other sort of microorganisms, which are what make up their diet. So the reason I'm bringing up the bowhead whale is because, first of all, it is the second largest whale, second only to the blue whale. It is about 60 feet long.
If anyone who listens to us also watches QI, they're losing their fucking mind right now.
And also, here's an interesting one.
Very narrow audience.
Bowhead whales have 2 blowholes.
Really?
They've got 2 blowholes right next to each other. And here's the big one.
I think most mammals have 2 blowholes.
Haha.
Haha.
This is serious, Stuart. This is real educational content. This is what our listeners want.
This is what the people demand.
This is what the people demand. So here's the big fact here. Here's the big bowhead whale fact is that it is now thought that bowhead whales can live up to 200 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing on lobsters, but whatever. Lobsters are immortal, but 200's pretty good.
And the reason we know this is because about a decade ago, people started finding spears lodged in these whales, still living whales, but spears that dated back to the 1880s.
Really?
Yeah. So these guys have just been swimming around. So they estimated that whale was at least 120 years old and that they could probably live up to 200. And that is your whale fact for today, everybody.
All right. That's not where I was expecting this to go, but hey, I'll take it.
The end of our whale segment, everybody.
We're gonna see, we're gonna watch the metrics on this one. We're gonna see how it does.
We'll see. This was a test to see.
Yeah.
To see
if you want to make
really want whale facts.
Hey guys, write in if you want more whale facts.
3 episodes. We're gonna forget about the video games. We're just gonna be doing whales.
Yeah. Yeah, this is it, guys.
Should we just start picking games that have whales in them? I mean, so we got Lost Planet 2 we can play.
Might be Lost Planet 3. I know I've seen a whale in a Lost Planet game.
I really do want to play Lost Planet 2 at some point.
Lost Planet 2 does have a giant shrimp boss.
Yeah, that's...
hey, so did Super Metroid.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, yeah, we did. That was our first game, so.
Shrimps and Whales will be the new name of the podcast. And
Oh, but since we are talking about our numbers, I want to thank everyone who has been taking the time out to listen to us. I mean, it's been awesome.
yeah,
And if you do get it, so we really do appreciate it for everyone that has. Everyone that's still here after our whale talk. So,
All right, talking about, Mike. This is what the people came here to see.
I can almost, you never know. Hey, I know Sam Mercer, he likes our whale talk.
He does. He does like the whale talk.
All right, so back to Lost Planet. Like, one thing I did think was cool in this game is that you do have so many different, like, there's every mission ends with a boss fight.
Yeah.
And I like
part of that, like, very
lot.
arcadey like theme to it.
And 7 of the 11 missions you do in this game have a big acre that you fight.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't talked about, there's a giant moth you fight at one point, like mission 4.
Yeah.
Oh, that moth is a son of a bitch.
I didn't have a problem with him, but he did mess up my mech pretty bad a couple times.
Yeah. He just, again, lots of loud noise, lots of screen shake, lots of stuff flying around in that one.
I think all the big bosses you fight in this game too are so in the Lost Planet series. There's different categories of acrid.
Yeah,
I think it goes category S to M to L to G to uncategorized. I think they're called just over G. I think all the bosses in this game are only category M, and the second game immediately starts throwing in like the category G acrid.
You know a lot about Lost Planet.
I played the 2 of them not too long ago, and the second game has a lot more lore in it. The second game has like the diary stuff you can find too, where it's like tells you about stuff.
Oh, because that's what modern games need more of.
I like that in games. I like saying like, oh, if you don't care about lore, you don't have to read this.
Yeah.
But
So
can
when
pick
you
it up
guys
and learn more
want to do
about
Dark Souls, I think Dark Souls would be wonderful.
Listen, in all the games I personally have played, I think there's one game that's done that really well, and it's Metroid Prime. And when we talk about that game, we'll talk about it. But
I have to apologize because I'm looking it up, and the 4 of the bosses were category G, so 3 of them were category M.
Well,
G.
excuse you.
So I was wrong.
Excuse you, Stuart.
Because you have King Dodongo, you have the giant moth, you have Green Eye, you have
Green Eye is just Green Eye. There's no special name for that.
You have I think there's a spider one. Isn't there like a spider looking one or something?
I
call him a spider. I don't remember.
I can't think of that one's name.
There's that giant centipede near the end that you fight.
There's a bunch of scorpions.
I guess Scorpion. You got to shoot the 2 side things, then go in the hole and shoot them, and then I didn't like him at all.
I kind of liked him.
He pissed me off.
Once you figured out what you had to do, he wasn't that hard.
He almost killed me though, so I had some problems.
The hardest boss in the game is the optional Undeep, which is the big worm.
I didn't. I just saw him and just kept walking.
I just walked past that
guy. I beat the worm.
There's an achievement for that too. I never got that as a kid. Or not. I wasn't even a kid when I played this game last time. God. Oh, and since we were bringing up, the funny thing is, I beat this game 10 years before 10 years to the day that I started playing it for the show.
Really?
Yeah, my Facebook, like, one of my memories, like, I just beat Lost Planet. I'm like, 10 years ago. So yeah, 10 years to the day. I didn't even remember. I forgot so much of this game.
Yeah, it's
I had amnesia.
I mean, hey, it's not a particularly memorable game. Like, no. I'll have forgotten most of this game by next week. Like,
I think it is because part of it is because I have always wanted a really good Starship Troopers game, and I know that this is probably the closest I'll ever get to.
This is the closest you will get. Yeah.
Yeah. There's not very many like they've done some Starship Troopers games, like very basic ones. They're okay.
Well, there's also Earth Defense Force, which is kind of
that's true. Like, that one's a little bit more like
Earth Defense Force. I think is kind of closer because it sort of has that same. It has that same sort of corniness.
Well, the corniness in Starship Troopers is all like satirical.
Oh yeah, it's satirical. It's purposeful. I don't think
it like look,
man. If you're looking for a video game that's like a scathing anti-fascist satire with shooting bugs, I don't know if you're gonna get that.
No, I'm never gonna get that. I understand that. It's just like I just want a game where I'm in a big machine that has a big machine gun and there's a shitload of bugs coming after me and I can shoot them.
I mean that is this game.
That's Lost Planet. Yeah.
And another thing we haven't mentioned yet is you got those stupid data posts that all they do is give you heat. Like I kept thinking, be a checkpoint.
No, they tell you where to go too.
Oh, they do?
Oh yeah. Well, I fucking hate those posts because it's like I go to each of those with the understanding that, okay, I made it to one of these things, which, by the way, it's super annoying. You have to mash a button in order to activate them.
Slam that
for like
button.
way too long.
Slam
And
that
then-
like button.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then, so then
Gotta
there's
like,
the
comment, and
understanding that,
subscribe to get that thermal energy, guys.
so, okay, I activated this checkpoint. That means I'll come back here when I die. And a lot of the
No.
time, that's not the case.
Nope.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. Why? Uh,
No, they exist more to be compass points than anything else.
yeah.
They show
They
you where to
exist
go.
because this early in the Xbox 360 life cycle, people had not yet figured out how to make levels that are good.
Excuse me, sir.
Figure
Bully
out
was
where to
great.
go. So they had to just point.
It
I
was
think
the
Bully's
same year
later.
as Bully.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Elder Scrolls Oblivion, I'll give you that. The maps are terrible.
that game. No. I've never played Bully yet.
Really?
I've always wanted to, but I have never had a reason to sit down and do it.
That game is definitely too long for the podcast, but we can
Yeah.
look into it. It's a long game.
I'm trying to think any. Oh, like the heat meter, it bugged me at first. We mentioned a little bit as we talked about earlier, but again, I'm glad they got rid of it in the follow up 2 games. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way it works in the second game is you use heat to heal. So like you'll
Okay with
still you still get your thermal energy, but it's used to regenerate
So,
health.
all right. So they're basically taking out the middleman.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No time limit.
I mean,
Which is nice because the second
I-
game also has like optional checkpoints in a lot of missions too.
That's cool too. I didn't care about any of the characters in this game other than Luca. I just like Luca for some reason.
Luca's great. She's just
Luke-
a breath of fresh air.
Luca's all right.
So
She's-
optimistic.
I mean, here's the thing. In any other game, she would be the least remarkable character, but in this game, everyone is just so has so little personality.
She's like the most grounded person.
Yeah.
You say so
And
little
she's just-
personality.
she's just
let
like
me
the
remind
most
you
fully
about
formed
Bandero
human
again,
being.
sir.
She's just like the most reasonable, emotionally normal person.
Wayne is basically like Amnesia Central. He's like, I don't know what's going on or who I am. or what's going
Well,
on.
and
He's
he's
stupid.
also Tom Cruise in every action movie that Tom Cruise has ever
Oh.
been in.
One thing I forgot to mention earlier: why the hell would anybody colonize this planet? Like, hey, look at that snowy wasteland. Let's go.
Well, the
there.
idea is that Nevik, who's like the evil corporation of this game, because
Because every game needs one.
because every game needs an evil corporation. Nevik, which is the Neo Venus Corporation, Neo Venus Construction. They took Ne from Neo and V from Venus and C from Construction. It's the most confusing name, and they are like terraforming. So it doesn't matter if the planet's a total wasteland; they're going to terraform it and make it livable.
Yeah.
Which they
And
do.
apparently the only way for them this made no fucking sense to me because their plan is to terraform the planet, but in order to do that first, they're going to kill everybody on the planet and then
Yeah.
terraform.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But at the end, after you've beaten the bad guys, Luca figures out a way to terraform the planet that doesn't involve killing everyone.
Well, it
And
was Luca using. Well, if you had paid attention to the
It's
story,
her
sir.
it's her using
What story?
Yuri's
What?
research. I know.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah,
This game had a story. Sorry.
Yeah.
This game was 50% story, 50% shooting.
More like 80% shooting.
Yeah, basically, Nevik, led by Eisenberg, who is
Eisenberg.
Dennis Eisenberg, the weirdest antagonist ever.
That's
He's
a
like
doc-
this,
I mean, well,
Dr.
he's-
Dennis Eisenberg.
if you just fucking look at that, he's just a stock anime creepy guy.
He's
That's what he
a
looks.
little
It just
dude
looks like
with the creeper glasses and slick
Yeah.
back hair.
and fucking Bandero, who's the right hand man, who is just
Zero.
again stock anime villain, weirdo
No.
big beefy dude,
Bandero is so
ribbons
much
in his hair
weirder.
for some reason.
Bandero is so much weirder. No, that's his hair. He has all slick back hair, which is either graying or specifically dyed to have a Nevik symbol on it.
No. But he's got 2 little locks in the front that have
Yeah.
ribbons on them.
So he slicked back all of his hair except for 2 locks in the front that sway around as he emotes
And again,
very
he
wildly.
put little 6-year-old girl ribbons on those little locks of hair.
And he's
It's just the weirdest.
he's
That's a weird
oh,
game.
weird character, even in personality, because he's a total sadist asshole. He's a psychopath that just kills everybody.
Again, he's every anime villain. He's
But
just most anime villains.
He's a psychopath, but he still has like that weird sense of like honor at the very end, where he's like, you got me. Like you're gonna go far.
Oh yeah,
like,
there are so many.
Everybody.
There are so many moments, especially toward the end of this game, where in a cutscene you have two characters facing each other, pointing guns at each other.
Oh god.
And then they're like, "Okay, now let's get in our robots and fight." Like, you could have just shot him.
My favorite character is the athlete named Joe. He's just Joe. Never got a last name. Just Joe, who was a Nevik trooper who you essentially kidnap, and in the next scene he's working with you for whatever reason.
Oh yeah, like listen, a lot of the game's story is like this. Is like you meet a character and then you do a mission, and then
it does a
in
time
the next
jump.
cutscene, you're suddenly best friends with them.
Yeah. The game takes place over the
what?
course of like 5 years, but you only get like, or I guess 45 years because you have the 30-year time jump at the very beginning.
It's just strange.
It's just, dude, it's so fucking weird. It's a weird
really
story.
bad.
Point a gun out, and then next scene he's like, so anyway, this is where the main base is, and he's drinking like a Capri Sun, as if he wanted a cigarette, and that was the closest thing. It
looks like if you combined a Capri Sun and a walkie-talkie.
Yeah,
like
he's just like sucking it down and throws it behind him. He's like, oh, I'm the cool guy, but I don't have any cigarettes, so Capri Sun.
Also, I love just like there's a lot of people drinking nondescript brown hot beverages out of really high-tech looking mugs.
Super high-tech thermal mugs.
It's essentially like they ripped off Mega Man X's arm cannon and then poured coffee into it.
It's an ice planet. Your coffee would freeze in minutes. This game has the most over-the-top ending as well, too.
Oh god, yeah.
So
this is something that kind of pissed me off actually. So because of high-tech science bullshit and the power of love or whatever,
No, it was only science. It was only science. There was no love in this game.
Yeah. You were able to unlock the full potential of your father's VS.
Yeah,
and
he hit a key
basically it basically turns into a Gundam.
Yeah.
Like literally, like it does like the Transformers thing where the middle of the torso like splits and then the head pops out.
And it's like it's covered in like blue neon lighting.
Yeah. and now it controls completely differently.
Yep, it flies. It doesn't run on thermal energy.
And I fucking hated this because the entire game, firing your gun is the triggers, and then your melee weapon, if you're in a VS, is square. And for this fight, they just decided to switch them. They just decided to make shooting the square button and these big ass like energy swords the triggers. And I died so many times to the final boss because I would use the sword when I was trying to shoot.
I spent so long in that fight shooting out all the lights on the because I thought that I saw orange lights on the side of a tower, and I was like, well, the game wants you to shoot orange lights.
Shoot it. No, man, that's
so I wasted all my time on that the first time I played the game, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to do that.
I mean, the game pretty much becomes Zone of Enders in that last mission. Straight up, Zone of Enders.
The last level is just like, screw it, you're
the way you control your flight
is
like
a Super Saiyan now.
It's completely unlike the way those abilities have worked elsewhere in the game.
It's stupid.
Like you control, like it's nonsense. Like you control your altitude by pressing Y or A, or it would be triangle or X on the PlayStation controller. So to go up, you press Y or triangle, and you start going up, and then to stop, you have to press it again. And it just like, it took me a little while to figure that out, and it still felt like, even when I got the hang of it, it felt so strange. It's just so weird that they would change the control scheme completely just for that last fight.
Welcome to Lost Planet.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning, by the way, that this, I actually did read that this was the second highest downloaded demo on the Xbox Live Store in 2007.
That's odd. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, this game, like we barely mentioned earlier, but this game was like really big about like they market that multiplayer. I feel like because even like the other version that came out later called College Edition has all the DLC. It's all about the multiplayer. This game has it exists in like this really weird ecosystem of
Like people like me who just really like it, just really like the mechs and everything. I'll go back and keep playing it. It didn't do particularly well, but there's almost like a cult following of it.
I mean,
like the people I know that like Lost Planet, they fucking love Lost Planet.
Oh no!
That's so weird to me. I just don't see how you could like. There's nothing this game does that other games don't do better.
It has secret in it.
2007.
Giant spiders, man.
When there was nothing for 360.
Yeah.
Like seriously, if I had a PS3 in 2007 and I wanted to play a third-person shooter, I would just buy Ratchet and Clank. If I wanted to play a third-person shooter on my PS3, I would just buy Ratchet and Clank because it just does that better.
I think a lot of people that played this, they eventually did get something. I think a lot of people that played this eventually went to Gears of War too.
Yeah. Gears of War. If you're on the 360, you just pick up Gears of War because it does that better.
Well, you know what? I don't only play the best games out there. I know I have my 3 favorite games, but I'm gonna play other stuff. And Lost Planet is definitely one game.
I was the one who went to bat for a Bomberman tournament last week.
Yeah.
Hey, that was a good game.
I mean, it is, but it is like I prefer it a lot to this game, but it is in the same sort of quality bracket.
It's like a weird little. It's. I think 2006 was an amazing. Like the 2000s in general, I think are like the most amazing time for games because it was before people really figured out how to make a really good AAA game, and so everybody was just throwing out as many games as they could, and so there's some really weird stuff out there. Yeah,
I have
niche games that are actually they all have something like interesting about them.
I collect tons of games from the 360 PS3 era, and there are some really random third-person action shooters and action games in general that I have in my collection. One that we'll probably never do in the show, but I loved this game back when I played it around the same time. I have not touched it again. Is the Bourne Conspiracy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever played a game. I really like that game, but I'm sure it doesn't hold up well. Like I have not touched it since, and but
you never know. You never know. Games from this era. They can hold up insanely well for just having they just get a little bit weirder. They don't get worse. They just get a little weirder.
And before we start wrapping up, I was on the final boss fight. How many did you guys know to have to do the stupid melee hit after you get his health down to 0? Because I didn't know that at first and died.
Really, you died.
And I got him down there, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm shooting him, and then he killed me. And then I looked online, like, oh, you got to melee him after you get his health to 0.
The melee does a shitload of damage more than your laser does.
Yeah, I just assumed the way you do that fight is you shoot him, you wait until he's done attacking you, and then you go in and you melee him, and then he goes pink, and then you do it again.
And he's like, he's gone pink, sir.
Sir, he's gone pink.
My God.
I never saw him go pink, but
he switches up his attacks a lot. Like he has, I think, 4 different stages of his attacks.
Weird fight for this game. Like you're fighting giant bugs, and then you're fighting a fucking Zone of the Enders mech. Like it was just strange.
It starts to really get. I mean, even Bandero's fight is really bizarre too because it's so close quarters compared to the rest of the game.
And he does a lot of damage.
Bandero's fight was cool.
Yeah. Like in the
it was cool to have one really good mech on mech fight.
And he telegraphs his moves, and you can learn what he's doing really easily. So I think it makes that fight better because it's okay, I know immediately what to do, and it's
and that's actually a problem a lot of the other bosses in this game have is that you just can't ever tell what they're doing until it's too late.
I think the Acrids telegraph their moves pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
There are one or two of them that
the Green Eye fight, as hard as it is probably my favorite fight in the game.
It's a long, epic fight. I mean, you got to shoot his side 2 or 3 times, and then you got to shoot his brain after you get it revealed.
That was actually a pretty good fight.
Yeah,
and you're flying.
Feels really
it feels very, very satisfying, and it makes sense.
Up to that point in the game, he is the big bad.
Yeah,
you're I'm gonna kill Green Eye because Green Eye killed my dad. I'm gonna go kill this big Acrid.
It's about halfway, I want to say. Too.
Yeah.
I think it's mission 6 or something. I
think it's 5 or 6.
I think that's right before the time skip too.
Yep.
That is right at that. Yeah, that's the halfway point of the game where you feel you beat him and you're like, oh, is that it? Is that the end of the game? Nope, you still got half the game left.
It's
you got a lot more shit
to kill. This game's story is really just all over the place.
Because you beat him and that's where Bandero gets introduced. And you're you're like, yeah, I beat the Acrid, and then the
fuck is
human
this
shows
guy?
up, and you're like, who the
And then
fuck
you're
is
like,
this?
Bandura, wait, is this the main bad guy? Or was
Yeah.
Yuri the main? This is where you think that Yuri's the main bad guy still.
Yeah.
And then you find out a few missions later that he's not the main bad guy. And then you meet Eisenberg, and you're like, okay, so there's another guy. And then you get to the end, it's like, oh, wait, Eisenberg was supposed to be the main bad guy?
It's funny because it is like, it is really jarring story-wise, because you beat Green Eye, and you're like, this is the highest you've ever been. And then as soon, like literally the second that fight ends, you go into the lowest you've ever been. Like there's no skip. It's like, okay, we beat Green Eye, we won. Oh my God, half my friends are kidnapped. Some of them might be evil, and we just got our asses kicked. Like,
I mean, well, there's ways to do that where it's really good storytelling, and this was one of them.
I think the story in this is, I don't think it's good. I think it's funny how like over the top it is.
It's just like it's literally just a bunch of cliches mashed into a ball. Like that's all it really is.
Yeah, but you have the weird voice acting and the strange accents and just people
and
everything is like operatic almost.
It has a very B movie quality for sure.
I mean, Eisenberg is just like this weird squirrely dude who's just like, I killed your dad. And it's like, okay.
It's definitely a B movie, but it's not necessarily like a super fun B movie. Like it's just kind of boring and weird.
I think it's interesting.
I've seen this before, man. I've seen this fucking OVA before.
But you never got to experience it.
Yeah, you never got to fly a mech while watching the OVA.
Well, no, I don't. I don't, though. I fly a mech, and then I take a break and spend a few minutes watching the OVA.
That's when you can go pee and come back and
then I come back and fly the mech some more.
I think this story is like it's part of the reason I really like some JRPGs, because it's just like so over the top and weird at some points.
Yeah.
Like the Tales games can get pretty bizarre at times.
Oh God, those fucking things.
Yeah.
I beat one of them.
Tales games are weird, man.
They're weird.
And we will never play them for this show.
No,
they're far too long. I wish we could.
They're like 100 hours long.
I wish we could.
Tales of the Abyss on 3DS is not that bad, but yeah, we'll never do them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I mean, there are some RPGs I do want to do.
The hunt for a short JRPG continues.
I got a couple.
I've got a couple too. I've got some that are like.
Chrono Trigger is only 17 hours.
Oh, we're doing that around our year mark. Yeah. Man, you want to? Oh God, that game just hits me right in the feels. Like I love that game so much.
It's funny that we're all looking for JRPGs now, and like the shortest we can come up with is 17 hours.
Chrono Trigger.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's basically the long and short of it.
I did that. Shining Force is like 15, I think.
We could do Shining Force.
Yeah.
I also at some point, even though it never released here, I want to do Live Alive.
Oh, I'm 100% okay with that.
It's about the same length.
It's a good game.
The real problem with video games right now is that there aren't any 10-hour JRPGs.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
One that we could do on the show. JRPG Japan. Rhapsody for the PlayStation 1. It's a musical RPG. I'm pretty sure it's under 10 hours.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You want to look it up? You guys ready to start listener questions then?
Sure.
Yeah, let's.
What we should do is we should just throw it out to the audience too, and say like, if you know any really short JRPGs,
send us a message on Facebook. We are Games My Mom Found on Facebook page. I respond all the time to that.
Yeah, Phil, I'll answer messages if they're about JRPGs.
Yeah.
I will have to check because I don't get the notifications, but I'll start checking every day.
Okay. We actually got a bunch of listener questions for this show, unlike last episode where nobody wrote into us. Nobody.
People are interested in hearing about Lost Planet.
You guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
All right, this one is from...
People know what they want.
Bomberman just wants your love, man. That's all he wants.
Bomberman just wanted to blow everybody up, including himself, apparently.
You know what Bomberman is. You don't have any questions. You see Lost Planet, you've got hundreds of questions.
And I learned so much from this episode. I did not know there was that much story.
Okay, but having played Bomberman Tournament, you will inevitably have far more questions.
That's true. That episode did end with us asking a million questions about Bomberman.
Well, the good news is we're doing another Bomberman in a future episode.
And we'll have just as many questions unanswered.
Okay, first question from Bruce. Do you enjoy the heat mechanic? And I'm glad every sequel and spin-off, which there is one spin-off in the series, throws that out the window. The only 2 gives an in-game reason for no longer needing to stay warm.
Yeah, they don't bring it up in 3. They're just like, yeah, we got rid of that shit.
I didn't mind it. Like it was annoying at times, but once you realize that there's so much freaking heat everywhere and every enemy gives you heat, and if you blow up a mech, you get more heat. It just felt like it was just there.
The one thing about it that sort of rubbed me the wrong way. So I go a little bit back and forth on it. I think it depends partly on the difficulty setting. Like if you have it on easy, you basically never run out.
Yeah, I played on easy too.
I do like that it refills your health, but also that, sucks away more time, so that's not great. The thing about it that would have made it better is when you knock out an enemy, thermal energy comes out on it. It basically stays in like a little puddle on the ground.
Yeah, pulls
and it
T1000s
if you don't go and pick it up immediately, I think it disappears after like 10 seconds.
It's about 10 seconds.
It like goes away a little bit too fast.
I thought it was longer than that.
It's not as long as you'd like.
Yeah, like I would like to have enough time to like clear out a room and then just pick up all the energy. Also, I think because of the slow movement speed in this game, it would really have helped if it had like a sort of magnet thing to it where you just get close enough and it just like slurps into you.
Yeah.
Instead of having to walk over every single puddle of energy. Like coupled with the fact that it disappears so fast, it makes it really frustrating. Like you lose a lot of energy that you would have gotten otherwise.
One of the things I'm always excited about is when you kill a bunch of really tiny acrid and it starts slurping together. You're like, I have that much more time.
Like that. I actually really like that. I like that if you have a 100 tiny puddles all right next to each other, they just slurp into one giant puddle. That was always
time because
really
it resets the
time.
timer.
While we're on the radio, DJ, you need to go on Google and search EX Troopers. It's a spin-off game for the series. I want to hear your reaction.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see what this is.
Okay, then we got to do this on the radio, so that's why I'm waiting. This could be good.
It is. It looks nothing like
what?
Lost Planet. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking just now. I just Googled it, and I'm like, what's this? I mean, it looks like a freaking anime cartoon, like an anime. Straight up anime.
So this is basically... So they basically did with Lost Planet the same thing that Monster Hunter Stories did with Monster Hunter. Yeah, where they just took it and made it cute.
It's Lost Planet chibi. You never knew that Lost Planet would have a chibi version, but here it is.
This is so fucking weird.
And this came out in 2012.
Yeah,
where Lost Planet 3
I would love to play this at some point. I've never played it.
All right, well, we have to play this now, I think.
It's Japanese only, but it's on 3DS, so I bet there's copies that we can play.
I wonder how hard it would be. Like
3DS is region locked, unfortunately.
Oh, well, that was
really. There's got to be a way. There's a way.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
listeners,
if anyone's got a Japanese region 3DS, they're willing to part with.
It's
also on PS3. I'll say, like, I enjoy the time limit, the T energy, but I understand all the complaints about it. It's not like I like it and I think that's like the best way of doing it. I just personally like it because it makes it feel more like an arcade game to me. Of like you have that time limit comics going.
Yeah. Again, it is one of the things that makes this very much feel like an arcade game.
It has an arcade mode too to this game where you have like a timer and a score and everything. I didn't mess with it, but it's there.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I can see why people don't like it, and I definitely have some complaints as well. Like I think it shouldn't disappear as quick as it does. I think it should stick around for quite a while, or at least like magnetized to you, Ratchet and Clank style or something.
Oh yeah, that would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
It's always the best feeling in any game, any collectible game, when you get like a magnet ability, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like
you just stand in the middle of like a huge crowd of them, and then they all just fly toward you at once, and you're like, yes,
I am a god now.
This question is just for Stuart mainly because none of us have played 2 or 3. From Emmanuel, I own the second game but never played either. Should I skip the first one and play 2? Would I be missing out on story?
No. Well,
not if you listen to the episode.
Yeah, there's some stuff that kind of carries over to 2. That's kind of like Easter eggs and stuff, but not like it's not super important. Like you could easily play any one of these games and enjoy them by themselves without having to play the other ones. That being said, I am very much the kind of person where I can't skip something to play the next one. Like I know I have the hardest time getting into I still haven't finished JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because I can't get through the first season. And everyone tells me, oh, just skip the first season. I'm like, no, I need to know where it came from. Even if it's different, I need to see the progress that the show made, I guess.
Oh, okay. So you're the kind of person who, if I told you to watch Blackadder, you would insist on watching the first season.
Yes. I watch.
Dude, nobody watches the first season of Blackadder.
Yeah, but I like seeing not only the progress for like the show, but also the like technical progress. I like saying like, oh, they like their cameras got better or like their writing got better. Here's how they improved it. I think that's really yeah, it's a weird thing. Weird thing I do where I appreciate the other people instead of the writers and the directors. So. No, but like Black Mirror, I had to go back and I watched the first 2 seasons before I got to the 3rd season, even though that's an anthology show and it was totally unnecessary. I was just like, I want to see how they got better.
Okay.
Because it's hard to watch something new and go back to something old. It's very easy to watch something old getting to new, I think. It's hard to watch like something very modern and go back and you're like, oh god, this is awful. Like you couldn't watch like a bunch of DVDs of a show for like season 2 to 9. Let's say you had Friends on DVD and you watched season 2 through 9 on DVD and you're like, oh, I can only have this VHS copy of season 1. It would be awful. You would never want to watch it.
You aren't wrong. Friends season 1.
Okay, so you're basically saying you would force yourself to watch the not good part.
I don't think anything's.
I would rather not watch the not good part.
I'm also kind of weird, and I don't think anything's bad. There are very few like shows or movies or games or anything where I will just come out and be like, yes, this is bad.
Fallout.
Yeah. But like, I find something good in everything. So like, even like, one of my favorite things to do is watch like really, really, really shitty sci-fi movies. I'm not like science fiction movies. I mean, the TV channel Sci-Fi when they had like the age of CGI, and they came out with like like Ice Spiders. Ice Spiders is like a great sci-fi movie.
I've seen it.
Yeah, I love that movie because it's a bad sci-fi movie, but there are things in it that I really enjoy. There are aspects of it that I find very enjoyable. The concept of giant spiders on a snowboarding mountain, I really like that idea.
I see a theme here of stuff you like that involves cold and bugs.
Yeah.
I see the strange theme. All right. Last question. This is from Michael, one of our listeners. That's another tier question. Where does the shotgun/VS shotgun rank among all video game shotguns?
Ooh, that's a good question.
All of them.
Well, just whatever rank you want to put them in. Like I thought the shotgun was awesome. I mean, I don't know how to rank it exactly, but I enjoyed the VS shotgun. The regular shotgun I didn't care.
The regular shotgun is whatever. It's a regular video game shotgun. The VS shotgun is awesome. It's very good.
I don't use shotguns a lot in games. Like in Halo, I do in Halo just because it's so amazing. But in most games, I don't use it a whole lot. Like in RE2, I used it very little. But that's survival horror.
Yeah, I used to never. I've had like a travel. I've had like a adaptation over the years where like I started and I was like, all right, I'm only going to use like rifles. I'm going to be the sniper guy. So Halo 2, I was always the sniper guy, and like DMRs and magnums, only one-shot weapons. And I kind of like switched to assault rifles and SMGs, and I'm on my shotgun phase. So I use a lot of video game shotguns now. I would say I would put it below the Halo 2 shotgun, but above the Fallout 3 shotguns.
I would put it below Ratchet and Clank because Ratchet and Clank just if you're comparing weapons in any game to Ratchet and Clank, you're gonna come up short. That series just has the best weapons.
I heard you rank the Jak 2 art classic.
Fuck the guns in Jak 2.
I love the guns in Jak 2.
No, they're fine. Like some of them are really cool.
One just causes a nuke to go off. Like
yes, but also fuck that game. Fuck the guns in that game because you can't strafe. Fuck any third-person shooter where you can't strafe.
Oh
fuck
man.
that.
I might put the VS shotgun above the Halo 2 shotgun. It just has so much power and like it knocks acorns on their ass. I like that.
Okay.
I really like that you can. There's like this sort of clang sound effect.
Yeah, everything's very like.
That's the sound of the shells actually hitting.
Yeah, it's very like metallic and just like the gun kind of cycling too. It feel like everything in the game on the like with regards to the mechs feels very powerful and like
Yeah.
Like, oh, you are on a big mech, you are firing a giant cannon. It has that like impact that it should have.
Yeah, for sure. Most things regarding the mechs were designed very well in this game.
And you can pick up the shotgun and walk around on foot with it. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah, you can pick up any of the VS weapons and use them on foot.
Yeah.
They're just like really... Oh, that was another really interesting thing. If you do a melee attack with one of the VS weapons,
Yeah.
he swings it across his body like the hunting horn in Monster Hunter.
Yeah. And it carries you too. Like it carries you around.
Like it's the same, but it's like the same animation though.
It is. I didn't think of that. It is.
Yeah.
It's the exact same, isn't it?
It is.
Maybe that's why I like Monster Hunter so much. It feels like Lost Planet.
Dude, games that are just about like fighting shit, I'm not usually like that interested in. But I lost a good 3 months of my life to Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
I'm currently stuck on Monster Hunter World. I just need to get back into it.
I never played it yet.
They're great. Good games.
Yeah, they're good games.
We should find a way to work a Monster
list.
Hunter into our list, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I doubt it. They're also very long games.
All right, are you guys ready to do Shelf or Box?
Yeah.
I think so.
Stuart, since you picked this lovely Frozen game, you want to
Well, yeah, obviously I'm going to be putting it on my shelf because I got this game when it came out and I played the hell out of it because I had to have something to do when I wasn't playing Oblivion. So throw in Lost Planet Extreme Condition. And yeah, I thought this game was weird when it came out, same as everybody else. Everyone had the same reaction of like, yeah, this is a little, and then as soon as you get to a mech, it just feels awesome. And so just like the mech combat, I think the world is really interesting. Like the actual planet is really interesting. The Acrid, I feel like, are awesome enemies. Like the Acrid feel like they're this actual creature in this world, rather than like, they're just going to keep shitting out of some door somewhere. They have like nests and they exist within this planet. They're this very hostile, dangerous creature. So I really enjoyed the setting of this game. I even enjoyed the wacky story, as B-movie as it is. It's just definitely going on my shelf.
Okay, that's what I figured. Kind of.
I'm in the Lost Planet. I'm in the Lost Planet fan group that still has this weird cult love of this game.
I might. You should send me an invite to that for a reason.
Yeah, we don't talk to each other.
That's fine. Send me an invite.
We just don't exist.
All right, DJ, what was your? I'm pretty sure I know where this
is. This is going in the box. Not a. Like I've said before in the past, and I probably will say again in the future, I'm not a huge shooter person. So if I'm going to put a shooter on my shelf, it's got to be like a good one. And this is an okay one. It's not terrible. There's still a lot of like BS enemy placement, and there's a lot of, again, as was common for games in that era, a lot of over-reliance on screen shake and motion blur and smoke effects, which, because people want to make things look cinematic, but it just makes it impossible to like tell what you're doing. I feel like it had a few good gameplay ideas that weren't expanded on enough. I feel like if they bumped up the movement speed and they incorporated the grappling hook into the level designs and creature designs more, then this could have been a really cool, like fun game, like that had a really like unique thing. But as it is, it's a pretty standard third-person shooter where you can sometimes get into a mech. And again, if they had gone the other direction and just made this a straight-up mech game, I also would have liked it a lot more. I think they had a good like variety of different mech types. I liked the way each of them handled. I didn't like the way that their control schemes completely changed in some cases. Like, I feel like they're just some of the, in general, the way they designed this control scheme could have been better. I didn't even mention this. You can do a dodge roll on foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a dodge roll.
I never did
pretty
that.
much have to do for the first boss.
Oh, that's why I had such a hard time.
That's why you kept dying on him, because you have to dodge roll. And
I just jumped. I
Yeah.
just jumped to what I would do.
Yeah.
You can jump out of the way of most
and
attacks.
it never tells you. Game never tells you that you can dodge roll. Never tells you how to dodge roll. And by the way you dodge roll is you click in the left stick and then you press A, which is super awkward if you're in the middle of a really intense fight. So, there are a lot of little control concerns like that. Overall, it's fine. I mean, the story's fucking weird, and it's very weirdly paced and full of cliches, and all the characters are pretty generic, and it's just a weird game. But overall, it's weird, but it's also not terribly remarkable in a lot of ways. And overall, it's just fine. It's, again, like a lot of the reviews back in the day, I would give it like a 6.5 or a 7. Like, it's a solid like C-. Yeah. It's fine.
That's kind of what I was kind of expecting that. I mean, like, I know your first play and you had choice words to say about this game. So
yeah, I'll give it credit. I warmed up on this game as I continued playing it.
All that thermal energy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to
increase my stock of thermal energy.
All right, this game for me it's going in the box. I mean, I enjoyed it like for the most part. At first, I was very angry with it, but I had fun with it. But honestly, I hadn't played this game in 10 years, and I remember like, oh yeah, I played that 10 years ago and I liked it, and that was about it. And that's about. I mean, I have no desire to see this game again for another 10 years. It can stay. I would have never played it again if it wasn't on this show. Like, I just had no desire to go back to it. But I had fun. It's just unmemorable.
That's about what I expected for everybody for this. I was like, I'm going to be the only one to put this on my shelf, but fuck it, I want to play it.
So definitely in the box.
Yep. I was like, I haven't played Lost Planet sometime. I'll play it, put it on the episode so I can play it again.
Well, I'm glad you did. It was an easy game to go around in my little marketing and be like, hi, have you heard? Yeah. And so it's a game that I think was something good for us to talk about. I mean, it's really a game of its time, of that 2006.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's in a very sort of awkward transition period.
Yeah, when you go from PS2 to 360 PS3 era, and we're so different.
Yeah, because you're getting away from games that feel really gamey to games that are trying to feel much more cinematic.
Yeah, have
deeper
stories and more going on visually.
And now you have right in between those two extremes, you have this game, which is coming out at the same time as shit like Gears of War, which is going for that super cinematic angle, and this one is just super arcadey and weird. It's also trying to be cinematic in some other ways, but again, in this very weird arcadey Japanese way. And I don't think I can think of another game that sort of mixes those elements in quite the same way this game did. So it's got that going for it, at least.
This game is one of a kind when it comes to that.
If you like looking at Lee Byung-hun's face, you should play Lost Planet. Which everybody does because he's a very handsome man.
And to get, and then I think I should let everyone know what we're going to be playing next week. We are taking a dive into a late '90s Doom clone. We are playing Star Wars: The Dark Forces.
Yeah.
On PC.
The game that I had to look up how to rebind my keyboard for.
I did a couple games lately where I'm like,
because I have to press page up and page down to look up and down, and I was like, nope, no thank you.
Yeah, it could be a little archaic. I
talking about games of their time. We're playing something from 1995.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait. I've played this game when I was a kid. Never got that far. About 4 years ago, I tried to play it again. I bought a wireless mouse, wireless keyboard, and I didn't get very far, so now I'm going to make myself finish it.
Well, back then, you'd have to have the wired keyboard because the input lag would be too much to play the game.
Might have been a problem. But yeah, and then after that, we are doing Shadow of the Colossus, one of our other upcoming games, too. And I think that's about wraps it up for this episode. Anything last, guys, you want to do it before we do our plugs?
Basically, I just now have a mission to... Since DJ said that he's not going to put many shooters on his shelf, my mission is
now
to find
he's just going to put all shooters.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find the shooter that will go on DJ's shelf. That'll be the ultimate test.
Start looking, pal.
We've already been talking. Me and Mike have already been talking.
Hey, if you guys enjoyed this episode, which of course you did, you can find more of our episodes on Podbean. We are on Stitcher, iTunes. We should be on most things. If we're not on something, please let me know. You can find us in I Watch the Entire Overblood Super Replay. You can find us on our Facebook page, Games My Mom Found, where I'm constantly interacting with whoever and posting I'm usually posting images for the game, so please like us. We are currently, as of this recording, at 97 likes. I'm 3 likes away from 100, so please like us. I want to get 100 because I know Facebook starts to recognize us the more people are listening to us. And also, we had just hit, as of this recording right now, we're at 667 downloads. But when we started recording, we were at 666, which is pretty good. And then we got one more right after, I took the screenshot, and then a few hours later.
Hey, that means we're 2 away from 669.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm hoping we get that so I can post it in Overplay. All right, but I want to thank everybody for listening. Our great intro and outro was courtesy of...
I'm going to go download the podcast 3 more times.
Nice segue. Nice segue, Mike. Yes, our wonderful theme song is courtesy of...
Hold on. I don't want to hear anything about segues from the whale facts guy.
It's what our viewers want, Stu.
It's what Sam Mercer wanted, Stuart.
The whale calling the kettle beluga.
Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, I was about to thank Mike Stoney for the use of our wonderful theme song, The Cool Kids Squad, off of his EP, Bite the Bullet. You can find Mike on his SoundCloud. You can also find him on his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bulby, Bulby. He's got tons of stuff up there, both his own compositions and 8 and 16-bit covers of video game tunes. Just this week, I think he put up an 8-bit cover of the boss theme from Final Fantasy VII. Sounds pretty good. So go ahead and check that out. And anything else, guys?
I don't think so.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, lovely people, we will see you next week. Thank you very much for listening. I love you all.
Have a great night.
I'm indifferent.
Bye,
You're okay.
everybody.
Mwah. Mwah.
Bye.